Tony, preparation for the irrigation season that's looming very large.
Yeah, the irrigation season is looming large. I mean, we're effectively in August. You know, we're only a week away from being in August, and we've had a very short time really to actually get prepared for the next irrigation season. You know, by the middle of August, it looks like right now we could be needing to be ready to roll. And if you look back at particularly the pastoral farmers, I mean, everywhere actually, Canterbury, North Canterbury, for those that had water in North Canterbury, the Wairarapa, parts of Central Hawke's Bay, we irrigated for a very long time. You know, we irrigated into May and even into late May in Central Hawke's Bay. So we've had a very short space of time to get all those things done that you needed to get done prior to the irrigation season. Things like just getting servicing done, getting your hose replaced or repaired, centre pivots, getting all the maintenance you want done. You know, just simple things like getting tyre pressures up, getting grease onto these things, making sure that any of the leaks at the towers were fixed, and all those sorts of little things that need to be fixed. Generally, you need to get that service agent in to do it. So we've had a very, very short space of time, and right now that next irrigation season is looming large.
Yeah, right.
And
it could be 2 or 3 weeks away.
We could be 2 or 3 weeks ago. I mean, it is incredibly warm in all aspects for this time of sort of really like the depths of winter. Really, I mean, we're into the nearly the end of the second month of winter, and we've still got soil temperatures that are relatively high. If you look at soil temperatures, we've got soil temperatures up in that sort of about 6 degree mark, which means that we've got nitrification taking place in the soil. So things are building up in there to get the plant moving. We know that we're still growing grass. We know, for example, everywhere, Hawke's Bay and in Canterbury, where we've had fantastic grass growth during those months of May and the mid to the mid part of June, having to break feed these paddocks rather than mob stock them, and that's just for this time of the year. That's sort of not probably unheard of, but it's very unusual. It's probably a long time since we've had to do that. So all the indications are right now, unless it really turns to custard in a huge way, that things are looming faster than not.
Reserves? Yeah,
look, since we last interviewed, nothing's really changed in terms of reserves. If you look at the weather that occurred in the last 10 to 12 days, every storm system that has come through for the eastern areas of New Zealand. So when I say that, I'm talking about sort of coastal Otago, Canterbury, Blenheim, Marlborough, up into Wairarapa and into Central Hawke's Bay. The systems in terms of delivering anything substantial to those eastern areas have stopped at about Dunedin. And the past weekend is a really good example of that. If you look at the temperatures that occurred in Dunedin, they were getting a bit of snow on the hills, and it was single digit temperatures. But by the time you got to Canterbury, we were talking about 15 to 20 degrees. By the time you got to Hawke's Bay, we were looking early 20s. So we were very dominated by that westerly pattern, and everything just sort of like stopped at around about that Otago area and drew a line across the bottom of the South Island, and nothing came to the eastern side of New Zealand, eastern side of both the South Island and North Island. So we've had nothing to get things going. I mean, we've got drains, for example, running in Canterbury where irrigation water is taken, where we're only a few litres per second above the minimum flow, and we're in the second month of the winter when we would expect to be well above minimum flow. We're actually just below the minimum flow. We also know that, particularly in the Canterbury area where we have a number of adaptive management groundwater consents, that there's virtually no hope for some of those people to get to the water levels they need to be able to irrigate in the next irrigation season. When we have to recover another 5 to 10 metres of water level by the 1st of September for them to be able to use water come the irrigation season, the start of the irrigation season, that's just simply not going to happen now. And so there's going to be some of those consents will be on initially at the start of the season on 100% restriction from groundwater.
At the start?
At the start of the season.
I mean, that is deadly serious.
Oh, it is deadly serious, and it is it's actually the third winter in a row now where we've had this sort of pending situation occurring, and it's just accumulated. I mean, 2014 wasn't a very wet winter. 2015 was definitely not a wet winter, and 2016 has not been a wet winter. I mean, when we need something like 250 to 300 millimetres of rainfall from that sort of mid-April period to the 1st of September, and we're sitting at just 120 odd millimetres, we're a long way away from getting groundwater recharge.
There are no options.
There are no options, no. Probably a very good year to have been part of Central Plains, where they have got flows in the Alpine River, in both of the Alpine rivers. It's probably a very good reminder that perhaps a mix of some surface water and groundwater would be a very, very good option.
So, long-term forecast for climate?
Oh, gee, that's a $64 question. I mean, we have to get out of this. We have to get out of this westerly, southwesterly pattern that we've got. If you just think every 7 or 10 days now, we just keep getting these westerly, southwesterly, northwesterly systems. We have to get out of that, and I don't know what it takes to break that. There has to be a change in the cycle, and I'm not sure that I can dial that up, and I'm not sure anybody can dial that up, but we need to get into that easterly, southeasterly, northeasterly type pattern to get out of this.
I hope we can. Tony, thank you very much indeed.